Oh, here we go. Looks like everything is lit and functioning. Stand by for feed. Let the brainwashing begin. Breaking news now. Attention all humans. All humans, please stand by. All right, fellas, spring is almost sprung. This really is the best intro for the spring. I got to find like another intro type thing. But yeah, the spring is on its way. So stand by because it's coming. Along with Christmas. Remember, Christmas is coming. Might have to wait a while though. But the spring is almost here. We got to do the warning in a minute for all those people out there that don't like or offended, slightly offended by what I say and my face. Maybe offended by my face and what I say, which I can understand that. Warning, Archer's Garage Live is not suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion advised. All right, for those that are offended, yes. All right, it's a little dark over here. I don't think the camera's set right. Can we set the camera? Because it was set for a bunch of other things as well. I might have to change the setting. Let's see, can I log into it? See what you guys are up to. Let's move this back a little bit. That's a little loud. Let's see. I didn't reset it from today. I also didn't reset it from working with it. Oh, is this thing even on? Let's see if there's any batteries left in it. Uh-oh. Wait, there's batteries. They're working. Yeah, that'll be a minute. So I might lighten it up a little bit. I could do this. Let's see. Do I still have it? Where is paint? Yeah, here's paint. We can use paint. Paint will give me what I ain't. Paint will make me what I ain't. I'll just close it down. But just like a white screen. Let the LED, the soft light of LED, white LED in the background, adding that nice sheen to my face. Yeah, it looks like I'm a little out of focus though, but it could just be, I don't know, you guys can tell me. So let's see, Ken's here. What's up, Ken? Madhouse is here. That's Mad About Motors, Madhouse. And Mitch, hey Mitch. And Brett's here. Brett's here early, right? Brett, you're early. What happened? Did you take a nap already? Jamie O's here. So I just happened to catch a couple of things. Look at this. Wait, I just wanted to check my internet speed. Of course, I do it late. I don't know why I didn't do it before. Here. Not bad, right? So that's 519.03 megabits per second down, and then up. It's almost the same. It's a little faster, 560.32 up. So it's been working good. And we've been trying to pay the bill on time, which is a big plus, right? So I just happened to catch this. Wait, hold on. Not that I like to get too political, but I don't really want to get political. But I just caught this. Is it right here? Right. So this lady, she steals an ambulance. Hold on, let's blow up the screen. She steals an ambulance and then tries to drive it into like a federal ICE building. Because that's bright. Hold on, you ready? Oh, wait, hold on, wait. Let's put we got to put the audio on for it, right? Because it's important. Nice.
Well.
Nice. So this guy, you can check this guy out. I think it's T-Sply. He's an ex-veteran, just started a new family. He's like independent. He's good. He's independent too. Like he's not only just an independent news person, but he's very neutral. Like he'll play both sides of the coin, right? So whatever side you're on. By the way, see all these movies, like I've been trying to catch up on these movies, and they're like putting Jason Statham's name and face on all of these, and so many of them are like totally not, right? But I did catch one last night. I don't remember the name of it, but it was an actual, there was two I caught. One last week, Friday, and one last night that was an actual Jason Statham, slightly lower budget, not Transporter, just one of the other movies. But yeah, sometimes you catch a good one, although this Contraband might be pretty good. And some of the others on here. But yeah, there's like a whole bunch of them. They put his face. This one might be good to watch. If it is actually a Denzel, because a lot of them are just lies and heresies. All right, I'm coming back. Lies. And there's lies, and then there's damned lies. What quote was that? What was that from? And you guys remember? There's lies, and then there's damn lies. What was it from? And you guys remember? Let's see. This thing boot? Yeah. Let's see if it booted. Yeah, it did. Let's see. I should be getting my cell phone in the next couple of months. We'll see. If I can save up the $300 for my buddy to pay for the newer video card and the phone as well, it might take me a couple of months. Right? I'm a little broke right now. I'm trying to catch up on stuff. Because I overspent this winter on things. Let's see. Can I change it? Well, the ISO is on auto. Can I crank the ISO up a little bit? Let's see. Let's bring it up. Let's crank it. It probably is pretty high. That's 8,000. That might be too much. Wow, that's like 20,000 ISO. Holy crap. I don't know if that's any better. And the other thing I can do too, hold on, because it's hunting. Yeah, it's also, that's 5.6. Hold on, it's hunting. It's hunting for focus. Hold on. Let's fix that. Well, we're going for a ride, fellas. Hold on. Archie had plenty of time to do this. Yeah. I know. I wasn't thinking. Whoa, we're going for a ride. Let's see. Hold on. I got to flip the screen the other way. I can't change the focus setting from the camera. Yeah, that's spot focus. We don't want spot focus. I want focus mode, focus area. I want zone wide. I want wide focus. There we go. All right, putting you back up on the stand. That'll help. And then, yeah, that's better. Where am I? Am I back? That's a little bit better. I can always tweak it some more. I'll tweak it. Yeah, damn, like, hold on, wait. So, good evening, Brad. Good evening to all. Jamie O. Mad says, hello, Brad. Jamie, where's Hank? Don't know. Mad says, I've been getting the YS mower ready for the steering wheel tie rods installed tomorrow. Nice. Keep working on it. Ken says, wasn't it Mark Twain? Yeah, it could be, probably. Yeah, damn lies. Yep, yeah. David, hey, David. Yes, Twain. There's lies and then there's damn lies. But I've seen that in a movie, too, because, we steal everything. Movies steal everything. And then they make the rest up. Well, one of the professors, I think maybe it was my friend Rob, one of my friends, Rob, he'd said to me, because I've had English professors too, but he had one because, he majored in English and French. And he said, good writer, the professor said, good writers borrow, great writers steal. Yeah, that's somewhat true. I could agree with that. Yeah, but it wasn't that crazy. That was a crazy crash. Oh, Papa's here. What's up, Papa? Yeah, I got the van dug out. Now I'm going to be using it. Everything is dug out. Everything's washed away now. Now it has changed. Today was very kind of cold, a little cold, but more windy. There is no more snow left. Not even the big piles, right? Because it rained a lot and it got consistently warm and a little sunnier. So we're done. I want to show you guys the last snowblower. Working on big mics, and I showed a little bit about it, I think, last week. We got a lot further. Ken says, those who can do, those who can't teach. Yes, yeah, yep. So sometimes I can't teach. Sometimes I can do. Sometimes I can teach. Sometimes I can't teach. It depends. Depends. So I brought in a couple other things too, and I got out a few things too this week as well. And then I gave a little bit of that money to the ladies. So yeah, I forgot. I wrote in hello humans earlier, but I'm like, I forgot to send it. So I'm sending it now. It doesn't make any sense now, but no, it doesn't matter. Forgot to send it. Wasn't it crazy though? That stupid lady that crashed that thing. First of all, she stole that thing. People are losing their minds, right? They're just going badass crazy. It just doesn't make sense. Why would you do something so stupid? Go stand in front of an ice truck and see if you can block them. There's a good idea, right? You know, yeah, I was showing earlier, I got my PBA card. I was at, because the guy's a city cop. I'm like, what do you think? He had a few things to say. Now it may not focus on it. Yeah, back there it'll focus a little bit more. See, when it's dark, the focus system doesn't work as well. We'll turn this up a little. It's dark in here. It definitely is. I don't have all of the lights I usually put on. Because I'm tired of light. I'm sick of it. I work in all these bright lights when I'm outside all the time. That seems, over here, it seems almost too bright. Now that I have this going on. Yeah, let's move that down a little bit. I don't need that much. That's a lot on one side. It could also be the resolution's a little low. The where I'm viewing it over here on YouTube, it looks a little bit low. But everything else is going good. I mean, I'm pumping out like 10,000 kilobits per second, which is like twice the limit to what YouTube really wants. And let's see, my CPU's cruising. It's 30 frames per second, and my CPU's cruising about 3.5%. It's really not working hard at all. I got plenty of bandwidth, so it's not me. It could be YouTube. So let's see. Ken was wondering what's better, right? StreamYard or the other one. I don't know. I don't know. I think they're both about the same, although I think StreamYard's a little worse, personally. It does seem like StreamYard's a little bit more problematic and not quite as right as Restream. That might be a little bit better. And I don't know if either one is any better when you pay for it. I don't know. But judging by the battle of the StreamYard, whatever, probably Restream's a little bit better. The best way to do it is to do it more like a Zoom call. But then you got to get everybody, because then if you do it like that, you have to have an internet connection that's fast, and you have to have a computer that's fast, and that can handle it, because everyone basically connects to you, and then you manage the whole video, and then you're going to need some of that equipment that Gary was showing, and that you fellas were asking about. You're going to need some of that equipment, a little bit of it, not all of it. You're going to need like OBS and a few other things to manage everybody. And then you send it out from your location. So it all comes to you, the host. Whereas Restream and StreamYard, right? Restream is just like the name says. Restreams it. So what happens is everybody connects to Restream servers. The host just simply is paying the bill, or the person that's the host is just simply controlling more of the buttons. And it's their name on the feed, and then you can send that out, depending upon if you buy a package or not. You can send it out to YouTube, and you can send it out to some of the others, Facebook, and whoever else you want to send it to. But I could do that here with this box. That's another one of the things that these boxes do, and the one that was Gary was showing is that you could have it streamed to multiple places at the same time. So if you wanted to be on multiple social media, and you have those accounts, you could have that one stream broadcast to multiple places. That's the other thing that these boxes can do. And to some degree, some of these boxes, like this one, not so much this one, but the model up. Oh, sorry, fellas, hold on. Oh, pain in the head. I might sneeze. I'm still trying to get rid of that cold. Yep. Oh, yeah, I think it's gone. Yeah, I just sneezed before, and it was loud. And so I got the little tissue here just in case. Yeah, I'm still trying to kick this cold. I've had it now for a couple of weeks. It goes away and then it kind of comes back. I think it's almost gone. I dosed out today on NyQuil and DayQuil. So I'm a little loopy from that. Doesn't that stuff make you a little nuts? Like it makes me a little kind of like nervous, hectic feeling. Like the NyQuil will make me pass out at some point if I'm tired. I don't know if it really helps. Let's see. This, come back, little humans, and those that can't teach coach. Yeah, right. That's funny. Sometimes that is the case. Mad says she watched too damn GTA. Who? Professional Bowlers Association. Yeah. Hey, I used to be not a professional, but I used to be a bowler. He goes, I meant too much damn GTA. I got it. Ken says, maybe restream tomorrow for live with Donnie Boy. Yeah. Man says, NyQuil makes me feel drunk. Yeah, it kind of does that to you, doesn't it? It makes you feel like I'm stoned. Between taking the two of them today, makes me feel like a shit weed or something. Really crappy, skunk-ass weed. I don't like that stuff. I don't really like it. Makes me feel loopy, you know. It helped a little bit. I don't know how much anything's going to help at this point. It's trying to come up and out. Like before, you didn't see it, but it would have been really gross, right? If it had happened while I was live, because right before I went live, I was finishing up a burger. It was like the last swallow, right? And as I'm like swallowing it, I sneezed and coughed up everything. And everything came out. Fortunately, I grabbed the tissue just in time. I'm like, oh, that would have went over good. Yeah. My last swaller. Good stuff. Yeah, let me show you what I was working on with Big Mike. I'll go backwards a little bit. It's almost done. I didn't want to do anything today. And like I said, tomorrow I'm going to take a look at Christina's car and X's car. I just want to, fluids, a few other things, check on some stuff, bring them in the backyard. They always have problems with their stupid air pressure sensors and mine I gotta look at. What was I doing the other day to it? I was looking at something. Yeah, I gotta look at it again. I need to get an inspection for my van. That needs to happen soon. Maybe I should pay one of the ladies to go do it for me. All right. Yeah, here's some money. All right, go do something, go somewhere, go do. Oh, is that Joey Z here? Hey, Arch and Company. Let's see. Mad says, soak in a tub of hot water and Vicks Vapor Rub. I don't like Vicks with Vapor Rub. No, as I like to say, I need a baby pool, hot oil, right? A couple 6-packs of Corona, and a few Mexican midget chicks to hang out, right? And rub me down. Right? That's what I need. An evening with that would be fine. Mexican midgets, hot oil, right? A small pool, little baby pool, okay? Some Corona. Yeah, let's see. Nothing against them. I'm just saying that would be fun. Is that your idea of fun, Arch? Yeah, it's one of my ideas. I got a lot of ideas. You guys want to join me? No, I don't want you guys there for that. You can't be there for that. That's a private party. All right. So here, check this out. Check this out. I'll go backwards. Hold on. Right monitor. It's Big Mike. It's Big Mike. He's like dressed as Santa today. All right. Or the other day. Let's see. There's Mike. He gave me a hand. So we got pretty far. Check the volume. All right.
Yeah, we did great.
I just got to do the ignition, and I'm going to pull this back off because that is in my way.
Oh, no, that's tight as hell.
Yeah, we'll take that off. That all looks good. His carburetor should be fine. Everything else is fine. We got new plug. This we'll put on after. I did a little spray down here. He put those on. Adjustment we got off the butchery that was down there. Cleaned everything up.
Nice wheelies on them.
Nice wheels. He wanted a little bit higher as well, so we adjusted that. We put a little lube. Oh, the other thing we got to do is we got to lube this. Let me give you the lube gun. There's a joint down there. Yeah, let's just do that while we're here. You got to reach in and spin that.
How does that spin?
You can spin it for here or from the other spot, but you got to spin it. There's no motor on it. I mean, there's no plug in the motor, so. But she's looking really good.
It's getting a little late because I got to deal with a doctor issue. But tomorrow, I don't feel like getting all disgusting right now. But we'll pop this off, clean everything up, gap it, put it back on again, make it nice. I lubed up the cover, put the cover on after we lubed this off. But we got all the new belts. All the pulleys are clean and everything is beautiful and lubricated as best as we could. Fresh beltage. That's all bolted back. For the most part, the handle and all that, everything's all lubed up, right?
That's probably why you can't turn it.
Oh, you need to
one of
clutch it? Whichever one. This one needs to be
that's
adjusted.
The track. Is that the track?
This one we could adjust a little bit. You know. So which one's the track?
I don't remember.
I think this is the auger, right? Yeah, see, this is the auger. So that's loose now. You should be able to spin it.
No, I can't. It doesn't turn.
Yeah, you have to spin it from in the impeller.
Yeah, you gotta spin it from in there.
So it's this side.
Slow,
so
but
it, like that.
it goes. Didn't that come out nice? So just to kind of go back.
Oh shoot.
Here is the track assembly, which I forgot. I got to take his tracks back off and put two springs in.
Excellent. Look at that. It's all nice and lubed. Chain lube and then the chain waxed. It's still setting up because we want it dry. And I polished up the disc and cleaned it. It's a little nasty.
Damn near brand new.
Yeah, it's like brand new.
I'll do that Monday. It's just two springs that got to go on.
All right, so now
all the shafts are back, and this is the box that I was welding.
Yeah, that looks good. I got to flip it the
So
other way.
I welded
so you
the
guys can
top
see.
on.
Big Mike and I here checking it out. It's kind of cool. A little traction motor.
Yeah, isn't that neat?
Right, but it's all assembled.
I sprayed it with some paint.
Yeah, we'll just flip it.
Put a
over the other
sticker
way so you
back
can see
on, kind of.
One more time.
So now I feel like we should get another one with tracks and build something.
That would be nice. Yeah,
yeah.
you could build all. Well,
if you could find it.
On it. Let me get the home. Let me get the little light.
So this was the green one. This is from the parts machine, and just to kind of bring you back. Yeah, this was the other day. I think this is a shot I did. I was starting to put it back together
all right,
again.
Last quick look. All right, so we got this guy. Yeah, it's so nice. So the chains are nice. Everything's going good.
His was so crooked, so beat.
Everything's on there the way it should be. It's nice and tight. There is no excess movement. All right. Well, like I said, we'll pull.
Yeah, let me come backwards. That's the walk behind I finished the other day. And so mine's a little newer. All right, so I'll show you.
All right, so here's my green guy. And we can actually see there's a motor plate right there. See the bolts? They actually bolted it down, but you could see the shape. And where it ducks over here, and it comes back this way. And, I'm not moving the machine, so just so you could see it. But yeah, there's an additional motor plate on that so that you don't get the cracking underneath. We'll still inspect it next time I have it, up and we're looking from underneath. But they bolted it on. I could have done that. I didn't realize that they had done this. This is a slightly newer machine than Mike's and the parts machine. But this is still about 20 years old. But yeah, they must have figured it out.
Yeah, so that's a part you probably could have bought to repair his. So just to come back a little bit to refresh your memory.
So just the Rust-Oleum, which is a pretty heavy
so
paint.
that's the plate I welded.
It goes over rust and a lot of other junk. And although this was really clean, I like it because it's pretty heavy. It's an oil base. It dries relatively quick.
Yeah, it's nice.
Not as.
Was this before? Yeah, so it was green, because I took that whole can.
All right, I just want to
That's just the paints I was using. Wait, hold on. Is there anything else I wanted? So this is when I was welding it. So yeah, you could see that's the old box. And I also cut this handle off. I cut that handle off and I installed it on the green one. And I think that might be down here. Hold on. What date is that? 3/7-ish? 3/11? 3/12? Yeah, something like this. I was cutting it, and it's all raw footage, but yeah, I was cutting it. I transfer drilled. Hold on, let me turn the volume down. I just transfer drilled, cut it off, set it up, indexed it, cut it. Yeah, we'll get a little closer look. All right, so I cut it off of his, and I indexed it, and I just threaded it, drilled it, gave it some threads. We'll just go through it real quick. I didn't want to weld it. That's not a good idea because there's bushings and stuff back there. And just bolted it on, and there you go. Right? So all those parts, all that stuff back together again. And if I don't, like I said, if I make the video this year, I'm not sure if I'm going to release it this year or not. Just because I don't know how much time it's going to take me to do all of this. To do the video and everything on it and split it up. I don't know if it'll be in parts. What was this? Oh, this is something to do with a blade I was talking about the other day. Let me come back. I might make something on the walk behind for the blades and such. And hold on, let me just turn the volume back up on this so I don't forget. Clean my blades, as you can see, for the most part. So that I don't forget and go like, where's the audio? Let's see. Mad about mowers. Hey Ken, Joey Z's here. Papa 68. End of winter, and of course, I blew a shear pin on the snowblower. Yup, go figure. Glad I had a few on hand. Yeah, of course. Joey says, my neighbor picked up the same snowblower at the waste center. Ooh, nice. Took it home and started right up. Nothing wrong with it. Using it for 2 years now. What a score. Totally. Brett says he doesn't like Restream. Yeah, I had gotten the only one I've ever seen here on the island, I have personally seen, I picked up many years ago. I got one of those red snow blowers, Arian's red or orange, whatever it was, real old one. And it didn't have the correct safety. That's how I ate my neighbor's fence, and he got really mad at me because I got too close to his fence. It started to pull it in. It was fairly new at the time. And the disconnect for the auger, you had to go down by the auger and turn a handle. That one broke a motor mount and split the motor in half and puked oil all over. And I don't know why I threw it out. I think I threw it out because, one, it killed the motor, and two, it had no safeties on it. It was too old. But it was a very nice machine, for sure. Found it at the dump, and it didn't take much to get it running. And that must have been like 1970s. It'd be my guess. Johnny Brother says, hey, Johnny. So that's like the last machine, and it all came out very nice. I gotta pull the tracks off to put the springs back on. Because when you're taking apart all these machines, plus I'm doing all the other stuff that I have to do around here, other machines I need to fix. As much as I try to clean up, when you're talking about welding, drilling, fabricating, taking two machines completely apart, plus, the parts machine, I had stuff everywhere. And occasionally I will stop and I will straighten up a little bit. So while Mike was here, and I was kind of pressed for time because I had to get to the dock thing, at one point I started to slow down and I said, let's go through the boxes and see everything. I'm like, look, Mike, 2 springs, we need to put them on. I forgot, and it was the last, trying to put all my remaining parts together. I like to take the best bolts and the best hardware, when you're building up a machine like this. Put them all together. That's what goes on the machine. The rest is mine, right? All the old hardware. But I found a couple of things. I'm like, crap, I gotta take all that, not all of it apart, but just the tracks back off. And he said to me, why didn't you twist the collars around? I'm like, just in case, right? And turns out, yeah, I gotta pull the collars and pull the pins and slide those things off so I can get good access to put the springs on, because his has got like a travel mode, and you push that back bar down, and that's like you brake, and it also lifts the machine up, and then it's sprung loaded and it comes up and hangs on these hanger bars, and those also had to be mounted to the green box. The holes were not there, and I had to spot those holes, so I made a different template for that, copying from his old beat-up box with everything was all trash. And this is a serious problem because that motor moves, so vibrates, the weight, all the stresses on that box. It breaks the top layer, shatters and cracks everything. Then the motor starts to lean weird. Then the box gets bent. Then the gears start grinding. And that's how he ate a gear. And the motor fell in. So I didn't know it. I didn't know that they had fixed that by making a retro plate that just basically bolts on, which is good because I guess back in the day, if a machine came in and that problem must have been a known issue. Maybe a work order went out or something. And you could have, for an older machine, you could have bought one of those plates and bolted it on. You got to drill some holes and, self-tap or tap them out or whatever. They made things years ago and they made mistakes, but they tried to fix them, and they did make this kind of stuff so that you could repair it. Now, my transmission box, that's what I'm calling it, is set up different than the older one. They moved a few things around, and when I was trying to take his apart, there were a couple of bolts and a mechanism for the whole fork assembly. I'm like, how does this come out? It does not really come out very easily. And there were two bolts that must have required a specialty tool. And I said to Mike, even if I could get, he's like, can you cut them? I'm like, no, because you have to put them back. So however you would get them out, I don't know how you would get them started again. Even if you could figure out how to get them out, how you would get them started, you can't get your fingers in there. That arrangement is different on my box. Because mine's a few years newer. So they did move a few things around. They must have figured out that there were some issues with the design, and they just addressed them. And there was some retrofit parts, I guess, available for some of the older machines. I didn't know this. So I just said, well, I can't just fix it and TIG weld it, because the plate, if the plate as a virgin plate, new, broke, then my TIG welding it's a repair, but it's subpar. I mean, if virgin material breaks, what I do is going to definitely break in the future. So I thought, well, the only way I could make it any better is to reinforce it, and that's to put a similar gauge plate on top, fix what's underneath, so you have something stable, and weld the plate on top in such a way, and that's why I had some rosettes in the center to grab what's underneath properly. And then there'll be some more support. And starting off with a box that had very little cracking on it and no sign, the real issue is that in the gears on the inside had moved. One of the gears had moved, and or two shafts had moved, and the alignment was off, which caused the chain to eat a gear. And you could see, I think I showed this last week, you could see there was one of the gears was way off. So if the box racks and cracks, it's garbage, in my view. So since we had another one, I said, this one is not racked. It is starting to crack, but it's not bad. And since it's not racked and it's not worn, and nothing in there is worn, let's modify it. And that's the real bones of the machine. And he's got the 8 horsepower Tecumseh engine with the cast iron sleeve in it. So that's more of a commercial sort of industrial motor, or just a better, homeowner motor, so to speak. So that's a good motor. And then the rest of it's in pretty good shape. It was a little rusty, and I just painted it a little bit, a little touch up here and there. So when I'm done Monday or Tuesday, whenever I'm completely done with it, he can take it upstate, and he could leave it up there, and he's got himself a nice old machine. That's the stuff that I really want to do. Like, I'm trying to get more, now that I'm more settled in and the shop is more kind of set up for a lot of this type of rustification stuff. There are challenges, but when you have the tables in the different rooms and you have room to lay everything out and a place to, I'm trying to make this shelf here more available. There is some room on it. And there's a shelf over there that has some room on it. If I clean them up a little bit more, that's where I'm trying to put projects. You know, you put them in a box, you label stuff, you shove it on a shelf, it's in process. That's where you're putting it. And you can work on them a little bit at a time if you can't do them all at once, because I did have to do a few other jobs. So you don't want that interfering with what you're doing sort of day by day. If something else has to come in and I have to work on it. Let's see. Same as old Frank. Let's see. I don't like Restrained Bravo says, even you guys. Brett says, about as old Frank. Gotcha. Yep. Bravo says, just finished up another snapper. Ooh, I'll have to check that one out. Apparently, I'm collecting them now. Not sure why. That happens. Things just come to you, right? That's just the way it works. Things come. Careful what you wish for. Joe says, I have one of those in my boneyard. Picked it up a few years ago. Did not do anything with it yet. Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of stuff I have not done anything with. Bravo says, he goes, I have one early to mid 80s model. I restored it a couple of years ago. This one is a 2012 low hours. Couldn't make it run. It's nice. He says, oh, you couldn't make it run? Did you make it run yet? I thought you said you were going to make it run. Bravo says, the seller couldn't make it. Oh, seller couldn't make it run. Several small annoying issues. Yeah. Darwin says, meow. Hey, Darwin. Yeah, feed me. Right? Like that cartoon I watch sometime. Whenever that little cat, it's called Simon's Cat. Right? Every time the little cat gets in trouble, eventually he just looks up at his master and goes, all right, feed me. That's his answer to everything. And then Joey says, I use a 32 in Gilson with Tecumseh engine. It has a transmission, not the friction wheel and plate. First gear does not work. I cannot find any info on it. Just leave it as is. It's funny because I was telling Mike, hold on, Joe says, I do not want to take it apart and possibly not able to get it working at all. Yeah, I know, right? Bravo says, effing DuckDuckGo browser is not getting stupid ads. Oh, it's now getting stupid ads. Yeah, that's not good. I thought you paid to not have that. Maybe you got to pay your bill again. Yeah, that red Canadian bodied snowblower came back in just for a cable fix. And that one you cannot move. You cannot move. And it's because of the finger controls. So up where you can't see it, behind that nice aluminum plate, is an area where there are these two different gears on a transfer shaft. And they're big gears. They're pretty big. And they've got like detents on them, spaced about a ½ inch or so apart. And the detents are not like gears themselves. They act as a gear. But they're around the circumference, about a ½ inch or so apart, and they're not very high. All right, the height of the gear. And they're wide. And they kind of freewheel until you pull them in with a finger. Either finger or both, right? And that's one of its problems. Now, when you go to do that, they engage either side and you can steer it. And like a tractor, right? So any kind of tractor, that's how you move it, right? And it moves well, but the cost to having the ease of use with your finger controls is the fact that even in transport mode, this thing does not like to move unless you're running the engine. So when the engine's not running, you saw how I had to drive it around. I had to drag it around with my track up on its forks and then drag it up in here because you just can't move it by yourself. I mean, you can, but it's so hard. Whereas Mike and I were talking about this, like there's a few variations of this. So my Toro has these complicated spring mechanisms that sort of hook in and clutch, and you pull the rods or push the rods in. So you pull the rods out, that's full neutral, or you push one in to go one way, one in to go the other way, or both in to go straight. Posi rear, right? That's pretty good, but what's vulnerable to that are the pulls and the spring. Now, I have another set, and I had to modify mine because they were worn and the springs were a little damaged. Mike's is a little bit different, and most of us are just used to sticking a pin in between the hub of the wheel and the shaft, or pulling the pin out and replacing the pin just on the shaft and letting one spin. And on some of these, you could do either or. but that's a pain in the neck because if you want to go to the left, you have to lean down and pull the pin and go to the left for however long you're going to do that. The same with the right, or like on my machine, they just simplified it and you only get one pin, which is on a spring with a knurled knob. It's got a detent. You pull it out and you turn it and it racks it, holds it out of the way. You freewheel, which means you can freewheel it. It's not necessarily for pushing into the snow like my Toro, but you can freewheel the machine and drive it around and transport it and move it and spin it around and back it into the garage and, you know, do things like that. Or you can engage it and you have posi. So it's not for manipulating into the snow. It's for transport. So, and Mike's is a little bit different because of the tracks. So it's got this thing that you push down, this bar in the back, you step on with your foot, you can stop the machine, it can do a number of things, but you still have pins. And so he likes it the way it's set up, full-time posi, and then you push down on this bar to do the rest. There are different ways of handling this, but the more sophisticated you make it, right, the more vulnerable it is to break. And if it's a smaller yard, I have a narrow yard and it's a little smaller. Mike upstate is big, it's a lot straight. You just want posi, and step on that thing is nice. But like that simplicity today, like if you're in a smaller area, you need more control, and you don't want to drive it into something, especially like a glass door or something. Yeah, you go right through it, or into a car. I guess you got to figure out what you want. You know, if you need, well, Johnny doesn't need, a snowblower, right? He don't need none of that. I don't need no stinking snowblower. A snowblower? What's a snowblower? So yeah, but for some of us, we need this, Robert says, yes, Arch, there's a 5-part playlist of the educational learning adventure on this new snapper. Nice, I'll have to check that out. Although similar to my old one, yeah, of course. Enough differences I had to go to Arch and Jim Jackson school. Yeah, right? Yeah, he's very good. He's very good. Yeah, he's still doing stuff. Well, I was 80 there today. What's it now? Well, it's 38 now. It's not too bad, Part of the reason why I got sick was I've been outside in 7 degrees and 20 degrees. And I did pretty good. I lasted through all of that. I got through it. Plus it's spring now, so I'm having my spring cold. Just trying to shed. Your body starts shedding all of the dead cells and everything, and it happens at the end of fall, too, usually around fall to human beings. That's why you tend to get sick, because all of those dead cells and environmental toxins and fun that you had all summer long, right, now you pay. That's really why we get sick. It's kind of like the same thing with why flowers bloom and when they drop their seeds and when the leaves fall off, right? All those signals, environmental signals, change organisms and make them do different things. And that's kind of what happens to human beings. Like you'll see the other signal you're going to get soon, for those of you that have allergies, is when the green pollen comes off of the trees, the pine trees, and floods everything in here. And it's everywhere. Most people start hacking and coughing and... they get allergy sick from that, which can lead to other things too, if you're sensitive to it. Plus, I have 4 cats, which I am actually allergic to cats. So that's not helping. But, what can I say to them? I can't stop them. Especially Missy, the little slut, she's not a slut. She's just a little overly friendly. And Binks, the oldest male black cat, he's going in for a snippy snip because he's getting to be a little too much lately, because, he's such a juvenile, right? He's like, you remember like 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, the boys, right? Remember? Every time a chick was around, you were like, woo, and you're all just want to bang everything. That's how Binks is right now. And he doesn't care if it's his brother, his mother, his sister. He's on everything. He's eyeing everything to bone. So he's about to get snipped because he's getting to be really annoying. Like he's turned now into that juvenile cat, Oh, jeez. And we were all a little worried too because I saw another cat out front and my daughter's future husband had said, well, you might want to have him snipped because if he starts smelling all the cats outside and everything, he could start peeing on things. Oh, you don't want that. You don't want cat piss in the house. Anywhere. There was something going on in our pantry for like 2 weeks. It was really nauseating. I said, maybe you think maybe one of the cats peed in the pantry? Or was it I think they got some new kitty litter or something, but it's in a garbage container, and I thought it was sealed, but I don't know. I didn't get involved. It smelled so bad, guys. I think we actually got a little sick from being in there and smelling it. It was overwhelming. And I was really busy, so I didn't want to get involved in tearing the pantry apart. And then with the vacuums, all the vacuums that we have, I'm like, you guys need to empty the vacuums and get them the hell out of the pantry. Stick them in the back room, in the mud room. I don't know why they're in the pantry anyway. Or you got to start cleaning them more if you're going to, because it's a food pantry. You're not supposed to I tell them things. They don't listen. You got to be careful with the ladies, because if you tell them too much, then they think it's like a knowledge assault. Like, you're assaulting me with your knowledge, go away. Don't make your life hell. So all you can do is just plant the seed, All you can do. So yes, there's 5 plants. I'll have to check out the playlist. Yeah, 80 degrees. Joey says the weather did not get to me, but the price of fuel had me on my back. I know, right? Right? Yeah, but that's like 7 degrees is just... I don't like the cold when it's that cold. I'm good down to about 32. Right? 32 is like my breaking point. Once water freezes, I start to freeze. But I will say this. After it was like 77 degrees and 20 degrees, we had a couple of days that were like 45. I was like, oh my God, t-shirt weather. Totally. Knowledge assault. Laugh aloud. I love it. Been married 37 years. Could have used that. Yeah, it's so true, right? I've had to learn a few things the hard way. Knowledge assault. Like my daughter has said that I've gotten so much better. Yeah, late in life, right? Probably a little too late. Like I'm trying, I'm trying to figure it out. It's not easy, but I think when you get older, if you can't learn how to deal with the ladies, you're in big trouble, right? It's almost too late. Like it probably is too late. You got to learn to deal with them a little bit. So now I just step back and I'm like, walk out here. And Brett says anything below 50 is my breaking point. Yeah, I hear you. No, I kind of like the change of seasons. David Morrison says, much better than saying, hey, dumbass. Yup. Yeah. Yeah, well, we may want to say things that we shouldn't say. And we shouldn't say it. You really shouldn't say it. It's better to leave it unsaid. If they think you're thinking it, they can think anything they want. And because they're going to anyway, right? So it's better to let them think than to come out and say it and make it clear. Right? Because they don't make anything clear. They keep us guessing all the time. We don't know what the hell they're talking about. Or at least I don't. I don't know what the hell to say. I love it. Most of the time, my ex-wife never listened to me anyway. That was part of the problem. But there was really nothing I could do about it. Because if they're not going to listen, why are you speaking? That's how I am now. Because I'll just shut up. And that's like my other routine. I'm like, listen, if you're not going to listen, why am I speaking? Because my ex-wife would always say, you just want to hear yourself talk. Oh, is that right? Like, what could you say to that? You can't say anything to that. Because then they'll say, see what I mean? They bait you, right? They carrot and stick kind of shit with a whip. Yep. I gave my daughter a caution the other day. So the other morning we're making breakfast now. I'll just tell the story real quick. We're making breakfast together. And I'm still half asleep. So my daughter starts complaining about her mother, which I don't like. Right? I don't care, whatever. Don't complain about your mother for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you're being disrespectful, I don't like it. I don't really tolerate that. And the other thing, she started complaining, I didn't want to hear it. I said, I don't want to hear it because, why? Because of the way you're reproducing it sounds a lot like what your mother was doing, since that was disturbing enough the first time around. And for all of the years, right? and I'm just trying to wake up and try to manage to get some food into me so I can inject some insulin and start my effing day. I really don't want to start off like that, so please stop. So that kind of went into my daughter a little bit. She didn't like that. And then she started complaining about me, right? And she made the mistake of trying to defame me on something, to belittle me with something. And I said, be very careful with that. I said, that is something that your mother did. And it's something that even in Genesis, right, after the big insult, right, the eating of the fruit of the knowledge of the tree, right, one of the things what would be is the dual punishment of the woman would try to dominate the man, which is a dual curse. And I reminded my daughter of that. And I said, and the other thing is, because your mother would try to beat me down on something stupid and try to disgrace me and make me feel like crap over something stupid, right? To basically commandeer over me and to, lord over me. I said, and that broke the marriage. That because she was trying to break me. And that's something that's a curse from the Bible. And the Bible also says, and I forget where it says, it's better that a man should wander the desert than to suffer a nagging wife. And I said that to her, and I said, so be very careful with that, because if you do that to your man, right, then you both will pay the price. So be very careful. So don't. Then my daughter didn't like hearing that, and she was like, well, now you're complaining. I'm like, no, I'm trying to teach you something, and you're not wanting to learn it because you're conflating it and confusing it with something else. And stop doing that. That's another thing, this deflection and the failure to take responsibility for yourself that women also seem to have a problem with. So so before I can start my day, I'm having to deal with this. I'm like, oh my God. But I'm trying to my concept with my daughter was to try to raise a woman, regardless of the situation, to try to raise a woman that wasn't going to become some other guy's problem. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, my daughter's trying to get in the house. Like, where are your keys? Why can't you bring your keys with you? I don't think she just wants to use them. So, I don't know. You had to be there for all of this, but it was interesting. I thought it was interesting. Bravo says, Arch, are you still... He goes, oh, you're still a young pup. I get another birthday this week. Oh, happy birthday, Johnny. How old now? Hey, Rob. Rob says, hello, gang from Las Vegas. Joey says, got caught in a commercial, missed part of the conversations. Oh, it sucks. I'm sorry, brother. I only have them on really low because otherwise he'll forget to put them on later. And I figure it's you guys buying me a cup of coffee, right? Because I only get a few hundred views. The unfortunate thing with live shows, they're like the shorts. Right? If you do a short, you might do pretty okay. Sometimes I'll do okay in a short. I might get like 1,000 views or 2,000 views. But after a certain amount of time, it's off. Once in a while, though, I'll get somebody will say something on one of my lathe shorts. But all of the other ones, they just die. And it's the same thing with the live shows. After a certain amount of time, dead. And even like my not so popular videos, every year, I might get a few people that watch it and comment. And I love that because even if they're not like super popular or really popular, they get seen at some point and somebody will appreciate it and comment, even if it's just a couple of people a year. But the other stuff, like the lives and the shorts, they just die. They just die. And I don't know if other people have that problem, whatever, but that's how it's been for me for the longest time. Like it could take like 10 months to a year for a video that I put out for YouTube to really show it and for the general public to actually decide if they want to watch it or not, right? But at least that's a thing, and I know that's a thing. Like there's a good chance that they'll be watched to some degree. Oh, I feel a sneeze coming on. It might go away. You know what I'm saying? Got caught in the commercial. Plead the fifth. Yeah, well, that's another technique. It's safety, right? Safety. I regret to say that I must plead the fifth, right? To protect myself and the innocent. Although I may not be innocent. Robert says, you have to listen to somebody that makes sense. Clear response. He says, I know I'm getting old. The South is looking better every year. Not Florida, maybe Mexico or Central America. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, and if I'll tell you something, if they clean up their act a little bit more, Central America is beautiful. Like most of those places are beautiful. That's why so many expats go down, especially ex-military people. Anybody with like a stipend or a small, nice something coming in every month on a retirement. A lot of those places are really nice. And if you have a little bit of money, you can take care of the public around you, and they love you for it. Employ them and give them, treat them nice. They'll treat you nice. For sure. Silence is golden. In this case, we got to keep our gold. Yeah, yep. Yeah. Shit. He goes, shit, single till I was 34, married 15 years, single ever since, 25 plus years now. There's a lot to be said for being single. I never really thought I would be good at marriage, and I never really wanted to be married. But listen, if you're going to have a child, I recommend it, right? I totally recommend it. By the way, turning 76 this week. Nice. My birthday is St. Patrick's Recovery Day. That's cool. That's cool. Brett says, makes me glad I live alone. No one running their BS at me when I have to start my day. Yeah, it is challenging. I got to say, it definitely can be challenging. But then there's the other benefits, Joyce says, I'm having issues getting views. Yeah, it can happen. I'm not sure where. Well, things are getting very complicated on YouTube. Now, I'll get to it in a minute. Bravo says, hell, I don't get bitched at for rebuilding carbs in the kitchen. I know. I love seeing that. I tell people about that. Or cleaning transmission parts in the dishwasher. I know. I had one outside for a while I was going to set up, but it got away from me and I got rid of it. Oh, yeah. Although, my ex-wife, when we were younger, she was very tolerant a lot of that stuff. She helped me with a lot of that. Oh, but there is something to be said for, the ladies helped me out a lot. Like, first of all, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Liz, because I'd be dead. And for my ex-wife, she even said, because like a friend Barbara says, why are you still around him? And she's like, because he's very useful. Yeah, I'm very useful. And like I fixed the burner that night, and on a weekend late at night, she goes, I don't know, we don't have a service contract. I don't know who would have fixed that. It would have been a lot of money to pay somebody else. This was what I've been trying to tell her all these years, right? And now she's finally realizes it after we're not married anymore. Yeah, hello. And the ladies are useful too, because they, if they watch I don't mind if they get a little pissy every now and then. That doesn't bother me. I got thick skin. But as long as they don't go off the deep end, generally speaking, they're not always like that. And they do things that they try to help in their way. And that's a huge help to me, because I don't want to take on all of those jobs too, because there's work to be done. There's a lot of stuff involved, raising children and the house and everything else. And they do a lot of important aspects to it that either maybe I'm not as good at, or would completely overwhelm me if I had to do all of that too. I don't necessarily want to do that. I'm not good at everything or super efficient at doing certain things. And I like to keep my mind on certain things. And so they take care of a lot, and they're very helpful. And as long as you stay out of each other's way, I think that's the biggest thing. If you could do that and keep your mouth closed. And I tell them the same thing too. Less of the yapping. Because they still use phrases like my ex-wife will say, well, your daughter never does this or always does that. I mean, like never, ever, always. Here we go again. The never, ever, which never, ever, always, all the time is it? Because nothing ever happens always, all the time, does it? Never, always, right? So what is the never? That's that whole kitchen sink shit all over the bedroom kind of crap, right? My friend Steve's going through this now because I think he's getting a divorce from his lady, and he made the mistake of fooling around with some other lady before he got divorced. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I would do that. That may not end well for you at the bank, right? With the lawyers and the judge. Yeah, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. And then you could fall in love. You stick your wick in there, and next thing you know, I think I'm in love. No, you don't want that. You really don't want to do that. Yeah, because they'll turn on you too, because you're not fully divorced, and nope. Yeah, be careful. Right? Just be really careful, real careful. Well, they tried to crush me, like my ex's lawyers. They tried to completely destroy me. It almost worked, but that's their plan. Like my lawyer even admitted. He goes, really, the plan of the divorce lawyers is to make both parties almost equally painful, right? That way, if everybody gets hurt, we've done our job. This is how they think. That's because years ago they changed the law because we live in a corporate society, we're under a corporate state, under corporate, everything UCC, as I've mentioned before. So when you get married, years ago, you got married if you were a Jew or a Christian or whatever, you went to a local church, or you could go to the Justice of Peace. But usually, even if you weren't a Christian or whatever, when you got married, they might have recorded it at the local house, but they recorded it also in the Bible. And this was more not an affair of the state. It wasn't ever supposed to be an affair of the state. It was supposed to be a local affair, usually within a parish or something of that effect. And now it isn't. The third party in your marriage is the state, right? You just because that's a contract. And a bond, right, with a witness is a contract where there's a witness. So two people can make contract with each other. You used to be able to do it on a handshake. But then the full bonding of it is with a third party. In this case, it's with the representative of the state. Well, now the state is involved in your marriage, and now they have a piece of you, and they have an interest in what you do, especially when it comes to your finances. So that's why marriage today, and then they made it worse by letting the gays get married. No offense, but I said no, because there's problems with marriage in general in terms of an institution and the way it's laid out. And now you just made it more complicated and worse. And their attitudes, well, no, they can suffer the same way we suffer. No, that's a shit attitude. That's part of the problem. Now you've made it worse, right? And I don't know how you're going to be able to unpack that. And people are going to avoid being married. Great job. Great job, right? Making society better every day, right? No, not a good idea. But this is the stupidity of the leftist mentality and the liberals. They don't understand it. Like, you just made it even worse. If you want to allow them to engage in a contract, call it something else, because it's a different kind of contract. But people don't understand this. So when you have a problem in that contract and there's a breach of contract, guess what the state wants? It's peace. It's going to preserve its interest in your marriage. Oh, that's what you want. So then they have to send lawyers after you, and then maybe the IRS, and maybe something else. And depending upon, like I said this to one of my liberal friends, I said, they really make it hard. I said, the liberals. He goes, what do you mean the liberals? He's liberal. I said, well, I don't know. Think about it this way. We live in New York State. You live upstate in Albany, where the city seat is. That's the control center of New York State. And who do you think made the rules for divorce and marriage? Oh, since it's only been Democrats and liberals since we've been alive, and our parents. Who wrote those laws? He went, oh, yeah, I guess. Yeah, you guess, huh? Oh, now you're figuring it out. No, he still hasn't figured it out. Clueless. And then they wonder why it costs them so much money to get a divorce. Yeah, I wonder why. And if you don't pay, they'll throw you in jail, right? They'll come after you. Because you made a contract with them. You have to honor it. And they'll make sure you do. Yep. Unbelievable crap. Yeah, I'm having issues getting views. He goes, hell, I don't get bitched out for rebuilding cars. Yeah, I like that, bro. It says, not married anymore. So what? You still obligated. Yeah, and you can be, because there's other reasons why, right? So my obligation is to being a man around the women, that I care about. And the commitment I made to my wife and to my daughter is a commitment that's beyond the state. And that's in front of God. That's really the way it's, and myself, right? And that's really who you're making the commitment to, is to them and before God, your creator, and as a man, right? I'm not going to just leave, even if you try to drive me out. How about no? Because I have a commitment before God to myself, to you, and to my daughter. And you, as my future ex-wife, you can try to pressure me all you want, But I don't know if you understand this. I don't bend that easy, and I have this commitment, and you can't break that commitment. You don't have the power to do that. Only I have the power. She didn't understand that. Well, she does now, and now she honors it because now she sees it from a different. But you see, when we're younger in this pagan society that we're raised in, no one tells us any of this. They don't talk to us this way anymore, right? They tell us lies and silly, funny things and show us dumbass movies and TV commercials. And they tell us bullshit, right? You know, they tell us how you can grow more hair with Propecia and have a bigger dick if you take this fucking blue pill. And like, they don't really tell us anything good, you know? Brother says, I might argue that the commitment is to my God and myself. I promise to my wife, but I am obligated to honor my commitment to myself always. And you should, and if you make a really solid commitment to yourself, you have to decide if you want to keep it. All right. So are you committed to yourself and your belief system, whatever that might be? Can you hold up your end of the bargain? Do you have enough honor to do that? Those are the questions that we really need to be asking. All right. As a grown up, you know, a grup. Right, as from, what was that show? That was one of the Star Trek episodes with all the grups. Grups, remember the grups? Bonk, bonk on what was it? Bonk, bonk, grup. Bonk, bonk on the head, grups, right? Remember that one? That was a good one. Not to get too far off the beaten path. He goes, yes, I did. It was dishonored, though. Yeah, and, you know, they dishonor you. People do that. Or they dishonor the contract, whatever. People do that. Contracts, legally speaking, the reason for a contract really is so that you have a place to argue from. Because whether you are feel obligated to honor the contract and the details of any contract, or you feel you want to get out of one, you need a place to argue it. Without a contract, you have no argument. You have no standing, which is the correct term, because with a contract, you have standing in court. So you have some standing. You have an interest in this contract. You're part of that obligation, and so you have some say in it. But if you don't have a written contract of some kind, then you have no standing and you have no point of argument. But that's because everything we do, we've been pulled into essentially UCC, you know, Admiralty maritime law. Literally, they pulled us into everything. So there is no law; it's legality. Sadly, and maybe one day we can get away from that. That's kind of what's happening in front of our eyes right now. But we'll see how far that goes. That's a whole nother issue. Thank you, Father Arch. Some wise words. Thank you, Pava. You know, and I learned this from a lot of those very learned people, you know. Over the many years I've been fortunate to be around that tried to beat this into my head to some degree, you know. It takes time. You know, one of the nice things about if you have the kind of mind like I have, like I think most people do, is if you plant a seed, and this is something Jesus talked about, the mustard seed. If you could make a small seed and you plant it inside of somebody, and under the right conditions, it might grow. And a lot of knowledge is like that. And it takes time for something to grow inside of somebody, to have enough world experiences with crap to happen. And then you go, it's like the light bulb comes on. You went, oh, that's how that should work. Oh, wow, I really screwed up this time, right? Oh, I get it now. Right, my snapper. That's why I used to say I love my tools. Of all of the things that I've built and had that are no longer here, my tools mostly are. And I think that's like the basis of it all. It's like, what do I really like? I really like my tools. Because the other stuff I work on, I like it and I enjoy it and it comes and goes. I said, you know, I like machines because, no, they don't argue with me the same way. Yeah, they're pretty practical. They're straight up, you know. They're way more practical. What's my daughter saying? She says, there's carrot cake, but do not touch my other pastries. What? Hey, what other pastries? Hold on. Hey, no. What other pastries? Where did she find carrot cake? That's usually pretty good. Yeah, she likes carrot cake. She was disappointed. She wanted that for her birthday. She's like, no. Yeah. Yes. Teasing my daughter. Ooh, this is going to be carrot cake coming into my belly. Get in my belly right now. Get in my belly. I love sweets. It's so bad. Yeah, it's why well, it's not the reason why I'm diabetic. Yeah, didn't help. But yeah, snapper, by the way, you'll do really good on the snapper. I got a couple of little snapper things to do. And the biggest thing, I don't know when I'm going to get to it with the snapper this year, is that I have been so bad. I need to put those flexible boots on the shafts because I'm tearing up my shafts and bearings. I have a bearing seal too. On one side there's a bearing seal. I need to do that, and I'm going to try to get to it this year because it became my go-to ride-on lawnmower for around here. This is my snapper. Because I didn't finish working on Mike's tractor, which I got to get to next. The big Sunstar. Got to get that out. And the stander for a contractor Mike. And then I got to work on the deck for my Sunstar. Because he hooked me up with another deck. But I want to make it mid. But I got to finish his stuff first. So I've been using the snapper. Which is nice. I mean, I like the snapper. I left it out this year. I just covered it a little bit. Mostly the engine, right? Because I didn't want the engine to get full of water and snow and freeze. Brett says, I learned wisdom from Confucius. Confucius say, men who fight with wife all day get no peace at night. That's right. Peace. Hey, Randy. Thanks. He goes, thanks so much. Always an interesting show. Thanks, Randy. Well, I try to cover a bunch of different things because that's how I am anyway. You guys got to remember too that I'm doing the small equipment thing and all that every day. And then I have to watch my stupid ass at night trying to do these videos and edit. And I got to listen to Big Mouth again. And so at some point I want to get into other things, because otherwise I'll drive myself nuts. And I always say this, like the worst thing that can happen to us is if you do something too much, you get bored of it, you get tired of it, especially if you want to be a YouTuber. Like you'll get so bored of that. And I see this every year. I didn't see it that much this year, or maybe I wasn't paying attention, but you get every year the people that want to quit YouTube because they've had enough for whatever reason that they've invented in their head. Yeah, because you get them burned out. And usually what you'll see is some of the bigger YouTubers, yeah, there's occasion where somebody will hit it quick and quit. They might be in a year or whatever, and they hit some big numbers. I don't know if you're really mainstreaming something. But most of this, you'll see most of the YouTubers have been doing it something like 6 to 10 years before they really start to hit. Well, that's hard. If you've been putting YouTube videos out like every week or every month or whatever for 10 years, and now you're starting to hit, you're tired. Like, yes, you've worked hard, you deserve it, but you're also getting to the point where, holy crap, I'm getting tired of this, I get it. So you don't want to ever get to that point. And we've been through this in our jobs. How many jobs have you had where you might be really good at it, but you're getting sick of it? Like, geez, I can't wait to retire, or I don't know, maybe I'll get another job, or you just keep it, but you just, I got to get up, make the donuts every morning, I used to work at a donut shop. I was like head broom. Did a fantastic job there, too. I helped get the guy at Dunkin' Donuts like a regional award for the cleanest Dunkin' Donuts. And he gave me my first real job. He wanted to, that's what he wanted. And he said, I'll hire you, but I need you to do this. And I made a commitment and a contract with the guy. He got the regional award. He moved on, and I moved on because he was a really good boss. And he was cutting cutting the rug up to try to get somewhere. The next guy that came in was dipshit. And I didn't want to work with a dipshit. I was kind of indoctrinated by people that really actually want to accomplish it and do stuff. And I like that. A man after my own. Man says, I'm too old and ugly, broke, plus not making the high income to support a woman. I know that's the thing, right? Once you hit 50, you're invisible to the ladies, right? And unless, of course, you have money, right? Then you're a target. Ken says, it would be nice to work on my shit for a change. I know, right? Yeah, Ken, you totally need to get to that point. You totally deserve it. And Ken's been doing this on the side for 15, 20 years. That's why he knows so much, because you have to put the time in. However you get there, You have to put the time. Well, it's the same thing with anything. What do they say? It's like, I forget who came up with it. It's like 10,000 hours, right? So when I went to go play guitar, I can't tell you. I started when I was very young. Is it my friend Rob Piro says, well, I don't think it was your first love. He gets mad because he thinks cars and tools and chicks are my first loves, right? But it is one of my first loves. And yeah, you're the kind of time when I was playing, even my friend Arthur, when they were here recently, he goes, you were doing it there back in the day. You were it. But that was, I would play songs so much, thousands of times in a row, you know. The amount of time you have to put into it to become fluid and comfortable and to be able to make music, not reproduce it. There's a difference. There are bands that reproduce music, and then there are players that make music. And they have style and panache and whatever, and they have a little more to add than just being a good parrot. First, you got to learn to parrot. That's not a bad thing. There are some people that are very natural, and they don't really parrot. They are just born. But then there are those of us that you have to put the time in. And there are those of us that if you put the time in, you will get good at it, whatever it is. You got to be hungry. And we talked a little about this today on Ken's show a little bit. Like, if you're hungry and you're younger and you're hungry and you're starting your own business or whatever, you best be prepared to put that time in. Eat, sleep, and shit, whatever it is you're into doing, and make it your every waking thought, and almost to the exclusion of anything else. And so many people I've come across have said that's how they sleep in the office on the business they just started. They may have a place to go to, or maybe not because they can't afford it. So that's why they're sleeping in their office, but they're damn determined to get somewhere. And there's a lot to be said for that. And then if you put the 10,000 hours in, you might have it. You know, I mean, nothing's a guarantee, you know, but you know, what do they say? How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. Right? Confucius, a passionate kiss like spiderweb soon leads to undoing a fly. Yes. Ken says 26 years, see? Yeah, but now it is time to work more on yourself. That's kind of where I'm at now. But I always stole time to work on my own shit. I was trying to explain that to my doctor the other day, my neurologist, and because he wanted me to go in to get this laser radio isotope ablative treatments for my back, and I said to him, that might have been good years ago, but for right now, my concern is this, and why I don't want to do it. And it's number one is I'm older now, right? So my body can't cash the check that my mind and my desires and my passion want. But when I was younger, I would get obsessed with things. And anything. I would work my ass off on literally everything. And I never had an off switch. The only off switch I ever had, and my friend Rob, who often comes on here, he would say to me, you know, you got to stop. He would say, you got to stop. Because I would stop when I got hurt and fell down and passed out. I would just push all the time. Go, go, go. Push. Take a nap, push. And yeah, I would get sick at some point. I would hurt myself. I would push too far. And as I explained to my neurologist, that if you take that last little bit of pain away, those nudges and the discomfort and whatever, that is my governor, my engine governor. That is my limiter. Because now I know that when that starts to happen, I'm going too far. So I stop. Because I don't want to go back to not walking again with 2 canes and being a cripple. I've worked really hard to get back up on my feet. You take that away, my body's not going to know how to tell me that something is not able to do it. And I'm going to push past that point, and I'm going to get hurt. And there isn't enough time left in my life to recover from that event again. He goes, well, you need to pace yourself. He starts giving me the whole, you need to pound. I've heard this for years. I won't pace myself. I'm sick like that. I have a sickness like that. I push too hard. Now I've learned to back off and to slow down. Don't disrupt that. I'm like, I have finally figured out how to slow down, calm down, take the breaks. Like today, I was hung out on Ken's show once I got settled in a little bit and he stopped playing around with YouTube and Restream and settled in on one of them. I'm like, okay, now I'll see if I can get in. I'm like, I got to stop today, you know? I gotta, so as much as I say you gotta push and want it and be hungry, and you can still do that in an older age, there are limits, right? You do have some limits. And like I said, a man's gotta know his limitations, totally. I'm thinking of that, by the way, I'm thinking of the carrot cake. You guys thinking about carrot cake? Like probably you guys are drinking beers or something like that. I wish I could have a beer. I'll have one when the winter comes. I have a big keg, like a small keg of Heineken. I wonder if it's going bad. It's not leaking. I don't see how it would go bad. We might have a little party this year, and I'll add that to the party favors list. From like my daughter and her fiance, about 26 years. Now we're trying to figure out how to get the kids into the house, right, when they get married. I've been saying it for years. I'm like, I want to put a trailer up in the backyard. I almost had two of them. One was across the street, and it got parked in front of my house. And then my daughter was freaking out. And she's like, Dad, you're not bringing that in the backyard. Oh, it had a nice 454. You had a Chevy 454 engine in it? Or was it a Chrysler 440? It was one of the two. And I'm like, ooh, that would be nice. And I could just drag it right back there, fix it up, and I could live in it. And I've been telling them this for years, and they would, this is another one of these things where they're like, no, you're not doing it. I'm like, there's plenty of room. There's plenty of room for that. So now that, what I say about planting seeds, so now it's their idea, right, to buy like a nice newer one for, I don't know, $7,000, $11,000, $12,000, nice, something nice. You put it back there. I have all of the utilities I need, plus a cesspool. Hook them up. Let the kids live there, right? That's their first apartment. Then build a little extension out here for a toilet, a little bedroom, and maybe a little kitchenette. So I can live here, right? Then, okay, fix up the house a little bit more because there's some stuff we got to do serious, like siding and some other stuff. Fix the house up a little bit more. Then, right, move my ex-wife into the trailer, me out here, and the kids can move into the house and start a family. I'm like, this is, by the way, this is my idea, but it's their idea, right? Because I planted the seeds years ago. Like, let's try this. What about this? Because there's no way she's going to buy a $500,000 home. I'm not selling so fast. I still own half of it with my ex-wife. She doesn't really want to sell anymore. She did. And I don't think she wants to at this point. And she doesn't need the whole house. And it's a lot to take care of. And then the discussion is, well, what do we do with the cats? Well, we'll have to share them. There's plenty of them. I'm like, I told them, like, you should let them make more. Because then we wouldn't have had a problem. There would have been plenty of cats to share, right? But no, we can let them run around and do whatever. He goes, Joey sees I'm back. Hey, Joey. Passionate kiss. What time is it? Hold on. I want to go eat carrot cake. Where are we? Where is the time? I always forget it's live. Oh, we're almost an hour and a half. We're an hour and 24 minutes. That's good. Because last week, we did one last week. I did like 2 hours. And I didn't have to do a pee break this time either, which is nice. But yeah, I mostly wanted to check in and just show you guys what I was going, with the last snowblower of the sneezing. See, the sneezing, that's what I feel like doing, is sneezing. That and my green one has got like maybe one more video I'm going to put out on the green one, because I put that old carburetor on it because I like the adjustable carburetors. I love those carburetors. I was looking to put one on this, but he keeps forgetting to bring over the carburetor. Mike, you keep forgetting to bring over the carburetor. He put a newer one on. There you go. Let me see. Probably says, I'm feeling blessed. I bought my ex out of her interest in the house. Now I have two. Yeah, that's what winds up happening. Two houses, one before we're married, and this one I live in. Yeah, and although we thought about doing that at one point, but they're just too expensive now. See, if you bought one a while back, remember, and also I live in New York, which is just, I don't even really know, honestly, if I want to stay here because I don't know. I mean, it's just getting crazy with that communist mayor in New York. The only thing I could say is that the governor, the governor is a Democrat, but she's trying to think of the bigger picture, and she's not really happy with all of this. Raising taxes even more is not a good idea, and making New York State even less attractive is a bad idea for her and her party. And there's a lot going on with the Democrat Party right now that's not good for the Democrat Party. And they know it. And making it ridiculous here in New York is making it worse. And a lot of people are leaving, and she's aware of that. And, you know, what we need to do is we need to get Fetterman. You know, Fetterman, right? Like, he's like one of the most sane Democrats around. I don't know what happened to him, but he's like, I don't know if he's lying or if they replaced him or if he's actually a Republican. I don't know, but he makes the most sense, but he's good where he is. But you know, we've had more issues here. You know what they did the other day, just to get you out on this, and I mentioned this to Liz, we had a bunch of illegals from somewhere in South America. They were up here. They were caught with Molotov cocktails in the backseat of their car by the local police. Gee, what do you think they're going to do with a Molotov cocktail? So they arrested them. But you know what the stupid leftist lawyers did? They released them without bail back into the public. They just released them. No punishment. They just released them. I mean, this is insane. I mean, it's obvious that they want a problem. And this is what's going on. And it's completely unacceptable. It is just not acceptable. So into our community. And I don't know how Long Island will handle this, because Long Island is not upstate New York. It is not the city. It's not one of the 5 boroughs, especially out here in Suffolk. We don't like a lot of what's going on there. We don't need this crap here, but we live very close to them. We're on an island, and I don't know, that's going to wind up as an explosion in a big fireball, literally, somewhere at some point, and it's not going to be good. And honestly, I really don't want to be part of it. I really don't. I don't like it. It shouldn't be happening. We have a lot of illegals here. We've always had, but they tend to not piss anybody off. They try to get involved in businesses. They try to work. They live in a neighborhood. I have a mixed neighborhood. They get along. And now you're making it harder for them. And I know some of them, and I've talked to some of them, and they're like, they don't like it either. But they can only say so much because they don't want to stir the pot and have anything aimed at them. I don't blame them. My friend Wanleth has told me this for years. Not happy, right? He wants them gone. You know, he doesn't want problems. Yeah, because once you're here for a while and you become an American, why would you want problems? You know? Joe says, she will have to bail him out at some time after the election. Yeah. Property sales, income taxes, that's the problem. Joe, that's exactly it. And they always hit the money areas, which is here. I'm becoming a semi-professional mower deck repair village idiot. And he goes, yeah, bail police are retiring as soon as they can. Well, that's what I was asking my neighbor. And without getting too deep into it, he gave me his PBA card. I said, what do you think? I know, right? Move south? I know. And I am a redneck, but I'm also like a Yankee redneck. You know, totally. I don't know how many of them are still around. Right? But we can become Southern rednecks. Because I don't bring my stupid politics down south. I wouldn't do that. Right? Because my stupid politics are like Southern politics. Except I am born a Yankee. You know. But that's okay, because it's America. Yeah, America. You know what they say? America. Fuck yeah. Here to save the motherfucking day, yeah. Fuck yeah. America. Totally. But yeah, I asked him, he said a lot. I said, do you know any of the cops from back in the days of the Giuliani administration? And I said, you know? He goes, yeah. He goes, most of them are leaving. They've been retiring out. He goes, but they consider that to be the good days. When Giuliani set them free and to do what they needed to do, they cleaned up the city. Because remember, the city, a lot of those areas, if you go back before that, it started its downturn in the 70s, like everything else in this country, because the stupid globalist communists tried to take over, is what really happened. And the city really kind of got run down. And one of the things that Giuliani did, and to some degree Bloomberg, but he's an ass, F him, they cleaned it up. What they really did was they got tough and they tried to clean it up. And when you get the element out, you allow the regular folk And they tried to keep the pricing down, the prices down, and not a lot went up. A lot of people started coming into the city, and they started working harder, and they tried to recover, and it did better. And I asked him, he says, yeah, those were their good old days. They were allowed to do their jobs and think they were able to clean stuff up more. I said, what about now? I said, because he's still young, he's like 40. I said, what do you think? He says, I think we'll figure it out. He says, give it some time. It is in another transition. The country's in another transition. Give it some time. We'll see what happens. You know, when you start hearing people like Fetterman, and there are a few others in the Democrat Party that now feel a little bit more comfortable about saying things. There was another woman, too, the other day. I forget her name, but she was against funding ICE because they held up the bill for funding ICE and for Homeland Security. Suddenly today, or it was last night, or maybe it was today, she changed her tune. Because we've had more problems more recently, and they don't have anything to do with ICE. They have everything to do with Homeland Security and everything to do with funding. Instead of defunding the people that try to control law and order, you need to have money in place for these people. Any civilization is going to need its police to some degree, and unless you want the military here. Which is essentially what Trump's saying. If you're going to defund the police and castrate the cops and all of those other, then we're going to have to bring in the specialists. Because you're not going. One thing he doesn't want to allow is this constant anarchy, and because anarchy is anarchy. You know, I said this to my friend Arthur. I said, Arthur, because I'm an anarchist. I said, well, I understand there are times when, being an anarchist might be a good thing, but he's a mechanic and a carpenter and retired. He's very good. And I used the analogy. I said, I can understand that. But to have it as the only tool in your toolkit and to apply it to everything is like the old adage of, for some people that are just hammers, the whole world is a nail. And if you want to be that person, I don't know why you'd want to be that, but that's not very bright. And with that, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for hanging out and chilling with Arch, and I'll save you guys a piece of carrot cake. No, I won't. You're lying, Arch. No, I'm not going to see it. I'll be lucky if I save my daughter a piece of carrot cake. She'll have my head. I'll see you guys later.